NintendoFuse Podcast. It is September 1st, 2014, and it's episode number 104, entitled New, because there's a lot of new stuff for us to discuss. So, for those that don't know, the NintendoFuse Podcast is interactive. It's not your traditional podcast because not only can you listen to us, you can actually watch us live. We do a live video stream as well. So, head to NintendoFuse.com for the link to the video stream if you're just listening to us. Or vice versa, if you want just the audio stream, you can switch over there as well. So check us out on iTunes. The podcast is there. Subscribe. And so we also want you guys to interact with us. We have, if you're watching the video stream, you can post comments in the chat on YouTube. Or if you're listening on TalkShoe, there's a chat room going. You can post comments as well, and we will get you guys involved. But here today to discuss everything with me is Steve.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm here with Mario and Goomba and Yoshi.
Very nice. We got Greg here.
Hey guys, how's it going? Just being my 3DS.
And Barry.
Hey guys, I don't have that. I got Zelda playing cards.
Very nice. And I got my Gatorade bottle, I guess. So we are here ready to discuss the latest and greatest with Nintendo. So lots to talk about today. And since there is a lot to talk about, we decided to kind of focus on some specific things. So we're going to be talking about three things. We're going to talk about, first up, Super Smash Bros., the big leak. Lots of stuff that was kind of leaked out and obviously since then confirmed, at least a good chunk of it. So we will be discussing that. Then Mario Kart 8 DLC announced, and we will have the full details on all of that. And last but not least, the new 3DS, which is called the new 3DS. So we will be discussing that as well. So lots to talk about. First things first, related to Smash Bros. Real quick, there's a soundtrack CD offer. If you buy both the 3DS and Wii U games and you register those on Club Nintendo, you will get a Super Smash Bros. Soundtrack, one CD for 3DS music and one CD for Wii U music. Which is pretty great. Have you guys listened to like any of the music samples on the Smash Bros. Site?
Yeah, I listened to a few of them. They're really cool. I really like the Mega Man one. It's really fun.
Yeah, it makes me want the game now because I used to go through Brawl and just sit there at the soundtrack and just listen through so many of the songs, and I want to do that now too for the new one.
And I guess I'm in the dark. I didn't know that it had samples on the site. I've only been checking it for characters.
Yeah, I think they only recently did that, and like every now and then they'll add one or two tracks. Like they just recently added like a Nintendogs track and stuff. But there's some good stuff on there, so it should be interesting. So on to the leak. So here's the deal. A lot of this stuff, there were like many people claiming to have inside sources, and so not everybody was telling the truth. In fact, one of the big people that had one of the big rumors was proven kind of to be false. So there's a lot of like misinformation going around, but the main piece of the leak has kind of been confirmed, basically. So what this leak entails is, and actually I will show you guys kind of the images here. I'll switch over. So if you're watching the video stream, you can see the images. So we have, I'll kind of zoom into the character roster here. So this is supposedly, spoilers by the way, should have probably said that to start out with, but Super Smash Bros. Leak. So here's the rumored character roster that you're kind of looking at here. And there may be some that kind of stand out to you as like, what? Where are these characters from? So that includes, so there's some returning characters. We see Rob returning, who has not been confirmed yet. Ness is back. And some surprising ones. Dr. Mario, Dr. Mario's back. He's there. And as far as newcomers go, there's Dark Pit, who is there. We have Shulk, who was recently confirmed. So Shulk is on there as well. We have Bowser Jr., and you can kind of see him on the player select screen right there. So there's Bowser Jr. right there. And we have, probably most surprisingly, Duck Hunt, which is the dog from Duck Hunt, and he's got like the birds and stuff with him too. So really random choice, but that's kind of, that's what Sakurai does sometimes, just like these outlandish, um, characters and stuff. So alongside that, it's they're not apparent on the character screen, so a lot of people assume then that they are cut, and that's kind of what one of the leakers sort of said, basically. No more Snake, Lucas, Ice Climbers, and Wolf. So Ice Climbers being the surprising one, which many people speculate it's because the 3DS probably couldn't handle both of the characters, since it's a duo and stuff. But yeah, I want to get your thoughts on at least the characters and first impressions. Did you guys believe the leak? And now that we pretty much know it's true, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think probably so in terms of the ones they're missing, like you said, Ice Climbers is probably the big one. I liked Lucas. I played as Lucas quite a bit in Brawl. But other than that, I mean, it makes sense that Snake would not be back again. And Wolf, I never really cared for either. So those characters don't really matter to me. In terms of the supposed new ones, definitely Duck Hunt Dog is the most out there, I guess, one. It's kind of exciting if it is true, but I'm not holding on to that being actually true. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But I'm not so happy to see Dr. Mario again. That makes no sense to have basically another clone character. In my opinion, they should just made him like an alternate costume for Mario, and that would have been, I think, sufficient for a lot of people. But the rest of the characters, I mean, it kind of, I think it makes sense. Really, the Duck Hunt Dog is really the obvious one that stands out, and I don't know if I believe him or not. I'm still trying to debate that in my head if I actually believe these are legitimate or not.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was actually pretty giddy, only because Shulk was shown, and I was waiting for Shulk to be announced. So, with the promise that Shulk was in it, I was very excited. And of course, now that he's confirmed, the game is perfect for me. But in terms of the cut characters, like everybody, Ice Climbers I think is the most surprising, simply because there's no more representation for that game, and I think that's what the game is really about, is representation of all these different Nintendo franchises. And we already have 100 Mario characters and a lot of Zelda characters, so it would have been nice to see, Ice Climbers stay. I was surprised Wolf was cut. If one of them was cut, I was hoping it would be Falco, even though Falco has been in 2 games now. We need more bad guys, and Wolf is a nemesis for Fox. So I would have rather seen another bad guy in the roster. Could have done something with the story, but that's what they did. Rob, I'm happy to see back. Ness and Jigglypuff, I was sure were going to come back. Their original 12. I think there would have been riots if they didn't. Dr. Mario, I was beyond confused on, but I have a feeling Sakurai is going to say something like Lucina, where he's a little bit different than Mario, and some people were suspecting that it's going to be the Smash Melee Mario as opposed to the Smash Brawl, and the Mario character is going to be an evolution of the Brawl Mario, and Dr. Mario is going to be an evolution of the Melee Mario. And if that's the case, they do play differently, and I would accept it. Dark Pit, I don't think Pit really has changed that much from Brawl to the new one. I know one move of his is at least gone from the default. And Dark Pit was shown in the Paulintina reveal, and she was pretty much like, not this time. So I was kind of surprised on that. Mr. Game & Watch, again, I knew it was coming back.
Yeah. Speaking of Dark Pit, I mean, we know that, I mean, in past games at least, Dark Link has always been just an alternate costume for Link. So in your opinion, would Dark Pit should that be a separate character if he is on the character list, or should it just be an alternate costume? Because I've heard from people that actually play Kate Icarus that it is a different character. It's not just it's not the same as Dark Link and Link. That is a separate character.
Yeah, I mean, well, Dark Link is a separate character from Link too, but they've already shown screenshots of Dark Link being an alternate costume to Link, and that's what I expected with with the Dark Pit. I expected it with Dr. Mario. The only thing I could say is that they're going to make Dark Pit more like Pit from Brawl, and they're really changing Pit up for the new one. And if it's just something like, oh well, Dark Pit's arrows don't fly at straight line. It's just 2 degrees lower, and that's the justification for taking up a character slot. I'm going to be a little annoyed. So I hope if it is in fact 2 separate characters, there's something worthwhile to the 2 separate characters.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in that degree, then usually they would have like a lightweight character, and the other one might be like a heavier set character. So maybe Dark Pit is gonna be slower, but he's gonna be a lot more powerful, like a Bowser kind of type. But I don't know how that's gonna go. I mean, I know Dark Pit has unlimited flight, so maybe he might retain that move that was lost for regular Pit. Who knows, too.
Right. The one thing, I couldn't find a good image of it, but if you look very closely at the character select screen, it almost looks like next to Pit's shoulder is like the top of like some other weapon that he's used, or Dark Pit, sorry, like that he's used in the games, like some sort of staff or something. I can't remember what I had read about it. So some people are speculating that he might have, instead of like the arrow, he might use like the staff or something. So he might be slightly different in that regard. So if that's the case, then that would be pretty interesting, I think.
That's true.
I would be fine with that.
Go ahead.
The other thing is it's also another nemesis, which I think they need. I think they need more villains, which is again why I'm surprised Wolf was cut. And I hope Ganondorf's not another Captain Falcon clone. I hope they gave him his own identity now.
Yeah.
On the Ganondorf thing, sorry, I just want to say, unfortunately, just from the leaked video, some people were saying that he plays very similar to how he did in Brawl.
Yeah.
So I never like, people say that all the time, that I saw him as a Falcon clone. Maybe I just didn't play Captain Falcon enough to realize how close they were. But I saw, I always thought of Ganondorf as a lot slower and a lot different moves. But maybe I didn't play Captain Falcon enough to see they were that similar.
If you play Melee, Captain Falcon and Ganondorf virtually have the exact same moveset. It's just purple as opposed to fire.
I'm thinking more Brawl.
Ganondorf's just slow as molasses. That's it's different now. Now you can't move, and he's got weights tied to his feet.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I forgot about is Bowser Jr. Because the leaks are showing that he's like this, and the I forgot what it's called, the little
clown car thing.
Yeah, the helicopter clown thing, which I think is, if it is legitimate, that's a cool change up than just having a little mini Bowser running around, but having that type of a style of character is different. Have it being in a vehicle, I think that would definitely it wouldn't be just like I said, a mini Bowser with the same types of moves. He would actually have some different moves there, being a vehicle.
Right. Yeah, he looks, at least from the leaked video, he looks very interesting as a playable character. So I'm looking forward to him. And actually, that kind of reminds me of another part of the rumor. This actually came a month or so before the images and video leaked. Somebody posted a supposed rumored, information about the roster, which matched up exactly to everything now, so we know now that was true. And one thing they mentioned was the different alt costumes for Bowser Jr. would actually be all the different Koopalings. And so they would actually be in the clown car instead. So I don't know if it would actually change their name. I would assume instead of Bowser Jr., maybe it would also change their name. But similarly, they said for Olimar, he would have 3 colors, but then there would also be Alf from Pikmin 3 that would have the other 3 colors. So it's kind of, because they're the exact same, or very similar, model size and shape and stuff, it's just switching out the character. So for Bowser Jr., it's essentially Bowser Jr. and the Koopalings in a way, and you can kind of pick whichever one, which is interesting.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I love the idea of the alternate costumes, because you're able to get these different characters in that really don't deserve another slot on the character list. I mean, add the the Koopalings in, but don't give them 7 different slots on the list. Just an alternate costume for Bowser Jr. sounds like the best idea to go about that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I think one of the things that they probably were doing when they were creating a lot of these characters, like Lucina, for example, and how she's very similar to Marth, they may have or may not have, because I think there's speculation about that earlier leak, the leak from a while ago with Crom being on the list might have been from an earlier version of the game, or who knows at this point. So maybe at one point Lucina was just an alternate costume, but then they decided to change her up a little bit more and make her another character slot. So maybe something happened similar to that with Dark Pit. Maybe he was just an alternate costume, and then they decided, you know what, let's make him a little bit more different and kind of, add in some extra character slots just to kind of, towards the end of the game development or something, maybe. So.
What I'm
Who
also
knows?
curious about is in that leak, they also mentioned DLC, and Ice Climbers would be part of that, as well as Mewtwo, I think, was, and surprisingly, Snake. That seems kind of far-fetched.
The only thing, so that DLC, I think there were so many people taking credit for some of the leaks, and I think people have been able to go back and track things down. The person that claimed the DLC, I don't think it's the same person that leaked everything. I think they claimed they did, but they were found out to be fake. So it's still kind of up in the air, but I think most people are leaning towards the DLC thing being fake. But the DLC claimed that Snake, Lucas, Ice Climbers, and maybe even Wolf or something would be in the game. The stuff with Mewtwo and even there's one that had Ridley and stuff, that was all I think speculation from one person, which then another forum somebody took a screenshot of it, and then they took that to be part of the leak, and then they thought it just kind of one thing led to another when he actually wasn't. So it was kind of I've been trying to follow this the past week, and I've gotten a big headache from trying to wrap myself around all the different sources of it. It's pretty crazy. So I think the DLC thing is probably fake, but if it is true, then it just stated Snake, Lucas, Ice Climbers, and maybe Wolf or something. Sorry, there's one more. It said Chorus Men. That was the other part of the DLC rumor. If that is true, which I don't think it is, but so I don't know.
That's true.
It's very, and if you look at let me do the screen share thing and kind of show you guys the character roster again. If I can switch back. The other part is the actual rumored leak here. One of the images showed the All-Star mode and it had a lock on it, so some people have thought that maybe that meant the character roster wasn't fully done. But if you look at the character select screen, there's space kind of at the bottom left and right, potentially for more characters. So either this is not the final roster, or maybe it is, or maybe it's space for DLC characters. It's kind of up in the air right now, really, with that part of it. So
there's room on the next to last row as well for one more to make it even with all the rest.
Yeah, that's true. So if there was DLC, would you guys what characters would you want to see as DLC?
Oh wow.
Black Yoshi. No, just kidding.
You probably get your wish with that one, with the alternate colors or something.
I'd like to
Is it
see
that
more
the-
Metroid representation, personally. I'd like to see more of their RPG representation, like Isaac from Golden Sun. He was an assist trophy last time. He could totally be a full playable character, just like Little Mac went from assist to regular. I wouldn't mind Ryan from Xenoblade. The internet would go even more berserk with Ryan time memes, but it would be fantastic. Those would probably be my three biggest picks.
Gotcha.
When Gino, of course, but that's never going to happen.
Ridley. No, I'm just kidding. I know a lot of people want Ridley, but that's about it. I don't really know. I mean, I can't think of any character that I'd really, really like to be in the game that's not yet. Because I think the ones that I really want really already are in the game, or they're rumored to be in the game, or DLCs as well. So I mean, I'm pretty pleased with what the roster is looking like so far.
Yeah, I mean, I guess off the top of my head, I mean, I think it'd be cool to kind of add one of the characters from Bravely Default, maybe like Agnes or like Tiz or something. I think that'd be really cool because they could have a variable moveset because the custom jobs and stuff. That would be kind of cool, but that would be obviously another third-party character, which those would probably be a lot harder to get into the game. I guess a lot of the other ones I would think of are like classic games that probably the franchises are abandoned or owned by like Microsoft or Sony that couldn't bring back, like the Battletoads or something like that. But I don't know. There's just like a lot of you can go a lot of different ways. I mean, you can continue to add more Mario characters, but then it'll be too heavy in that regard. Or you could add more characters from Legend of Zelda. I mean, like Gearham, he'd be kind of fun to play as. But I mean, we'll be playing with him as in Hyrule Warriors.
There's also the promise of third party. Like, what about Bomberman or even Rayman, who apparently has a trophy?
Yeah, the only characters that I could think of really are third party, and I don't know how much I'm like. While I would love to play, I think as Rayman or Bomberman, I don't know how much third party I want in Smash Brothers. You know, like I like the idea of it, but at the same time, I think it's good for them to limit it to like at a max of maybe 5 characters or something, because it's mostly like while it's cool to play as the third-party characters, it's also still a Nintendo first-party game, and it's cool to have those Nintendo characters that you're fighting against each other. So I don't know if I would want that many third-party, but maybe 1 or 2 more. But when it gets up to the point where like half the roster is third-party, I definitely don't want that.
Yeah, that was the big thing with like PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. It's like 90% of that roster was third party, and it didn't feel special, and obviously it bombed. And I think that's what makes Smash Brothers so special, is that it's Nintendo franchises with a select few. It's like that VIP club. Like if your character gets in there, it's exclusive. Like you made it, but other than that, it's only Nintendo characters.
Yeah, I think if there's any other third-party characters that I'd want on there, it would be, I guess, like Snake to return or something. Like I would want that. I think that would be cool. But other than that,
yeah, I mean, I could think of if they had like Final Fantasy character or something like that, or something. But it's just another sword character, which I know people are like, okay, we're getting a lot of characters with swords already, or any things like that. So, I can't really think of too many that I'd be like, oh yeah, it'd be awesome to have them in the game.
Well, they could have Black Mage for Final Fantasy, which wouldn't be sword. But if anything, I could see Sakurai trolling us by adding Bubsy to the game.
Yeah,
what I just was thinking about right now that would be a cool addition if they had one of those Splatoon characters in. That'd be awesome advertising for that game.
Yeah,
it could be cool. Yeah, sticking something that they haven't actually released yet, like a newer character or something. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe we can do that as like DLC or something closer to the game's release to kind of promote it. But that reminded me actually, like some of the recent games, like the Wonderful 101, that would have made a cool like character like Wonder Red or something that switch between them, or that would have been kind of neat.
Yeah, and
a lot of
Final
people
Smash have been like all of them together, like Wonder Blue and green and yellow and whatever.
Or you have an option of what kind of Final Smash you do based on what kind of design you draw, or whatever with the characters or something. That could kind of be really cool. But I mean, it's adding a lot to it. But
you have to also be using the gamepad too, because like how would you draw with like the Pro Controller?
Well, you can even when you're playing the game. You can use the analog sticks. You don't have to use the touchscreen when you're playing the Wonderful 101. So it's harder, but it's not as easy as just drawing on the gamepad. But yeah, it is possible.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities. I do want to kind of take a look at the chat here. So on the TalkShoe chat room, we have a guest who's in the chat, and he says, "Not a bad roster. Duck Hunt Dog was the most surprising." I think a lot of people agree with that. On the YouTube chat, I want to give a shout out to GI 5Mar75, so hello, as well as Serenian Shadow. Serenian Shadow, just said it's a good question. We asked about characters DLC. He said, it's a good question. The only thing that I can lean towards is that the characters that were previously cut are planned ones that didn't make it. So I think a lot of people will probably be happy if they brought back some of those characters that they cut, and maybe they will. At this point, I think because as we've seen, as kind of with our next news story, Mario Kart 8, Nintendo is not shying away from DLC now. So I fully expect them to have plenty of DLC with Smash Brothers, and I am very excited for it because if the Mario Kart 8 DLC is any indication, Smash Brothers DLC would be amazing. So, any last-minute words on Smash Brothers, or should we move on to Mario Kart?
I think it's really interesting that we're gonna be finding out a lot of this stuff really soon because it's gonna be the 3DS version is launching in Japan really soon. So
it's like a week and a half.
Before long. Yeah, before long. All the stuff's gonna be finally out there and we're gonna see. So I think it's pretty exciting that it's almost time.
That also brings a different point. I'm surprised that Sakurai wouldn't have like a global release for it because he's always one that kind of doesn't like when people post the game online, but that there's going to be the Japanese people that have the game that we're going to have the full character roster before we even have the game. Like, oh, guess what? Ness is there. Guess what? Jigglypuff is there. It's going to be official confirmations from people playing the game instead of him himself. So unless it's like next week is going to be like the last of the characters like every day, then I'd see like the Japanese people spoiling the entire like character roster for us before we get our hands on it.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, we got like 5 so it's a week and a half away, so we got like 7, 8 more days, not counting the weekends of picks of the day for him to kind of reveal the rest of it. So there's not much time at all in terms of like if that's the case, if he's going to want to try to get all this information out before the fans get a chance to, these next several days are going to be pretty big. Every day is going to be like a big picture and big reveal.
It could just be like a simple screenshot and it'd be a picture of like whatever Wario and like Ganondorf. They're like returning characters, so I don't think that'd be a big burden to put some of the returning characters in one post. But
right. I was kind of expecting a Smash Brothers like direct or something right before the game releases, and maybe we still will. There's a rumor from some random sites. I don't know how credible they are, but there's a rumor that tomorrow they'll announce some other Nintendo Direct or something. Which, going by the history of the podcast, I'm sure many of you know, the Nintendo does not hesitate to make announcements as soon as we're done recording the podcast. So. That may end up happening or something. But they did do a Nintendo Direct recently, and they announced Shulk, but nothing else. So I don't know. Maybe they really do want to just keep it a surprise for the Japanese release. But then, like Greg said, what about us? Everything's going to be spoiled for us. So we'll have to see, I guess.
The Shulk reveal was also only in the Japanese podcast too.
They did what? Sorry.
I said the Shulk release was. Reveal was only in the Japanese podcast when they were talking about Xenoblade Chronicles. So that's kind of weird too. Why have a character reveal that's only in the Japanese Direct and then release an American and a European version of the trailer after?
Yeah, I did think that was kind of weird too, because when they didn't announce a Direct outside of Japan, I was like, they're not going to talk about Smash Bros. Because, why would they? It's not a worldwide Direct, but they did. So I don't know. That was interesting. Yeah, all right. So let's see what we got here. So there's so much that we could talk about with Smash Brothers, but I'm sure by the time we'll do the next episode, maybe we'll do one like right after Smash Brothers comes out for the 3DS. So we'll have plenty more to talk about at that point. But another big topic. So it's funny because the Smash Bros. Leak happened, and I told everybody, I was like, we need a podcast. And then like right after that, this Mario Kart 8 news comes out. And I think it was Steve or somebody's like, I think we have our whole podcast planned out already. Like, there's so much to talk about. So let me do that whole screen share thing again and show you guys what's going on with Mario Kart 8. So if you check out NintendoFuse.com, we have the details on there. And as you can see from the images of Mario Kart 8, well, you might be listening, so you might not be able to see it, but we actually have non-Nintendo characters joining as DLC, as well as some Nintendo characters. But essentially, there's going to be 2 packs, and I believe they are. Let me kind of scroll down here with the prices. Yeah, they're $7.99 each, or you can buy the bundle for $11.99. So the first pack comes out in November, and it's a crossover with Legend of Zelda. It has 3 characters: Tanuki, Mario, Cat Peach, and Link. Comes with 4 vehicles and 8 courses. And then pack 2 in next May of next year is a crossover with Animal Crossing, and we have new characters, Villager and Isabelle from Animal Crossing, as well as Dry Bowser, and then 4 more vehicles and 8 courses. If you get the bundle, then you can get 8 new colors for Yoshi and Shy Guy, and you get them immediately, so you can have them right now if you go and pre-order the bundle. So basically for $12, you get 6 characters, 8 vehicles, 16 courses, as well as 8 new colors for Yoshi and Shy Guy, which is an insane deal. And if you can kind of see, just to give you an idea of some of the stuff coming, there's an F-Zero, cart. That's pretty awesome. There's one for Link right there, for Legend of Zelda stuff. There's an F-Zero course, as well as like an Excite Bike kind of course. It's kind of hard to see, but there's one there. So there's a good amount of stuff coming, and it's pretty crazy. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff. What do you guys think about all the DLC?
It was definitely
pre-ordered.
Yeah. I already pre-ordered it. Racing with my yellow Yoshi. Pretty excited that I get a yellow Yoshi because that's who I use in Smash Brothers, and I'm like, now I can play as yellow Yoshi in Mario Kart. Yeah, I think it's exciting. I think it's really cool that they're using other. I'm not so excited about racing as Link or the Animal Crossing Villager. I'm more excited that they're bringing in the different courses. I think it's great to have an Excite Bike themed course, or to see the F-Zero course returning, and possibly a new updated version of it as well. I think that's really cool to branch into these other racing IPs that they have and bring them into Mario Kart. I think that's really exciting, and it's 50% more courses than what you get with the full game that you bought for $60. For $12, you're getting at least you're getting 50% more courses on top of the all these characters and new vehicles. So I think it's great. I hope they do more. I think it'd be really exciting.
Yeah, I think the DLC is great. Like everybody else, I pre-ordered it day one that I could. I'm excited to see what other courses. I hope that they tap into their racing history, and we get like a Stunt Race FX course and a Uniracers course, and just some other homage to other Nintendo racing franchises that have been forgotten over the years. As for the characters, unlike Steve, I am excited to play as Link, and I think it would be great. But I was kind of upset with Cat Peach and Tanuki Mario. We already have 2 Marios. We already have 2 Peaches, not counting baby versions. I would like to see some other characters like Wiggler, like just even past characters. Or if you're going to bring another Nintendo character, how about Rob? He appeared in Mario Kart DS. Let's bring him back too.
It's true. Dry Bones. That's what I want instead of Dry Bowser. I want Dry Bones.
Say, I read it. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife, however, is really very, very excited about Cat Peach. Like, as soon as I showed her that there was DLC coming out, she told me she was hoping that I was going to show her a picture of Cat Peach, and she got really excited when she saw that. So, some people are excited about Cat Peach.
I tried the same thing.
Is why they did the DLC with Cat Peach.
See, I tried the same thing, and I showed my wife, and she just looked at me and said, "It should have been Cat Goomba," and walked away.
Yeah, I mean, they could really add skins for everything. Pretty soon we'll have like Frog Mario, Hammer Bro Mario, Fire Mario. I mean, I would obviously rather have a different character. I mean, aren't we still missing like Bowser Jr. I think in this one, or do we have him? I think we have the Koopalings, right?
Yeah, I don't think we have Bowser Jr. Right.
Yeah, we're like missing him. And we could have Birdo. We could have Waluigi's in this. I know he wasn't in like the Mario Kart 7.
Yeah, has he ever been in Mario Kart?
Yeah, I think he was in.
So, yeah.
I know he was in the Wii version, but I don't know if he was in like the DS one. I don't remember.
Okay. It's Smash Brothers that he's never been in. He's just a assist trophy.
He's been, yeah.
Yeah. I hope that by doing this, that they're seeing that a lot of people, I'm guessing a lot of people are going to pre-order and show their support for this. And so in turn, hopefully that means that they'll release more, and hopefully they'll bring, you know, characters that people really do want, like Birdo, hopefully Dry Bones, maybe Bowser Jr. Some of those other characters that they have left out, and bring them back as, you know, secondary characters, you know, in future DLC packs.
And maybe they'll have a third pack and they'll actually add Diddy Kong, and then they can have Diddy Kong racing tracks.
Oh man, if they start adding DKR characters, Timber and Top and TikTok, oh man.
Be a third pack for a year from November.
Yeah.
They could have Mario Kart versus DKR. That would be great.
Well, it's interesting. Somebody hacked into the game's code, and they found placeholder images for 4 cups, and they were labeled DLC. One of those images for the cups, I think, at least 1 or 2, were used in the cup images for the new DLC that was announced. So that either means one of 2 things. It either means that the game only held placeholders for 4 cups, which we now have. You know, there may be more stuff. I mean, then again, it's just placeholder stuff that DLC they can add on whatever in the future, but it could be a possible hint at more DLC, you know, coming later on. So
yeah. Speaking of those icons, I think it's really interesting how they chose to go ahead and put them on, like, the characters, and like go ahead and put them on the roster, and put those extra the extra courses like on the actual like list where you can choose. Like, they're sitting there just like taunting me, waiting until the day. I'm like, I've already pre-ordered it. Stop taunting me.
Yes, I agree. I saw that and was like, oh my god, did they glitch? Did I get them already? And I go to the carriage. It's like, no, I want them now.
It's like, oh, this content will be available later. Like, no, right now.
It's a smart like business move, you know, because like everybody will see the DLC and it will tempt them for sure, and it's pretty cheap too. But at the same time, it's also very tormenting because it's like, I want to play as Villager and Isabelle and Link, and yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of excited for Link, but not so much. I'm not really Animal Crossing, so I don't. Those characters don't really add anything really much for me. But I was really excited to actually see Wario's Gold Mine come back. That was one of my favorite. That was like my favorite Wii course on the game list. To see that one already being brought back, that was like awesome. I was like, that's like my favorite course. I like texted my sister, and she's trying to come over and we'll be racing on that one on the big screen.
I think it's cool that they're bringing some of these Wii courses back, because that's obviously the most popular Mario Kart so far. And I know that other people that have come over to my house and played, those are the retro courses that they're most excited to play, because those are the ones they know the most, because it was the one that sold the most. And so people are like, oh my gosh, Moo Meadows looks awesome. And I think they'll say the same thing with Wario's Gold Mine and others too. That's going to get people really excited to play those courses and, you know, this new HD version of them.
So,
one thing I kind of hope they do, and I don't know if they will, and I highly doubt they will, but I think it would be really neat, is if you play as Link, instead of picking up coins, you pick up rupees, and if you play as Villager and Isabelle, instead of picking up coins, you pick up bells. Like, I just think that would be a neat little thing if they could do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they could change over the icon, but I'm sure they could do like the sound effect, I would think.
Maybe. Something like that, just like a little homage.
Yeah. I would hate to race anybody on the Animal Crossing course, because I'm just going to be paying attention to all the... I'm sure they're going to have like all these little villagers and stuff on the side and everything, and I'm just going to be like racing around like, oh look, it's Tom Nook, and I'm going to like crash into something. Like, I'm not going to be paying attention at all.
Okay, note, play Hudson on the new course first night.
You heard it here, NintendoFuse Tournament, Animal Crossing course. You'll beat Hassan.
It's true. Just go ahead and check it out on the time trial before you start racing everybody else.
Right. Although that actually makes me wonder what people are going to do when you play online for people that don't have the DLC. how is that? Is that going to split, things up? Or if you only have one DLC pack but not the second one, like, will you only be matched with people that have purchased the DLC? That would kind of be my assumption, but
yeah, that's a good question.
Sure.
I wonder if that too, because, well, what does it do for instance, if you're playing against someone that has not unlocked any of the rest of the courses? Are they able to play at those courses yet? They are.
I think so.
Okay.
At least I know.
So
I know I've seen other characters, and I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I wonder
seen
if they would just allow it, or if there's going to be like a separate, I mean, maybe you will see it, or maybe if it's just done in the background and you don't even see it, that they just pair you up with people that have already got the DLC as well.
Yeah.
Well,
what do
I
they
know
do
for
for
Mario
games
Kart
that-
7 it requires you to have that update to patch the course, so maybe if they might make it at some point a requirement to have the DLC to be able to play it, like maybe in a separate lounge. Or
No,
in-
what I think they're gonna do, if they're smart, what they'll do is they'll have an update that everybody has to do, and what the update will do is allow people who don't have the DLC still see the DLC characters and actually race on the DLC courses online only. Because if you say, hey, I'm not sure if I really want to get the DLC, and you go online and now you're racing on the Zelda course, and you're like, wow, this is freaking great. You're going to go out there and you're going to download the DLC so you can play it on your own and not rely, hopefully I get paired with someone who wants it.
Yeah, someone I was hearing talk about it, they were saying, like, would it be crazy if they allowed you to see it, if you could, like, only spectate? If it was a DLC course, like, and you didn't have the DLC, you had to spectate during that race, and you started to, like, watch other people play on it, and they're like, sucker, you gotta go buy it and enjoy it.
Yeah, that would be good too. But that would still piss people off. Like, come on, guys, you keep picking the DLC course, so now I can't play, and
That's
it was
true.
boring just spectating.
What do they do for, I mean, other games like, like Call of Duty or something, when you're able to get extra courses and map packs and stuff like that are your DLC specific? I've never bought any DLC for those games, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. If anybody in the chat has experience with games like that, like Call of Duty or something, let us know, because I don't remember. I've played stuff like Halo with my friend before. We bought DLC packs, but I don't. I mean, since we bought the DLC, I feel like we played with other people that had it, but I don't know about. It's hard to say, because you need like multiple people involved to kind of give their experiences, whether they have DLC or not.
Yeah. Yeah, my guess is, I mean, for this price, I would assume a lot of people, I don't know if like most, but I'd say at least 50% of the people will probably end up purchasing the DLC, because it's at least one of the packs, because that's pretty cheap for what you're getting.
That's true.
Yeah, that's amazing pricing. Mario Kart 8 gets you a free, like, you're increasing by 50%, all the courses and everything just for like $12. Like, it's crazy, like the value of that game.
Have you guys people actually get another Rainbow Road, like a third one? Like they'll like remake like the Game Boy Advance one is next, I think.
You could.
I don't know. They could, yeah. I wonder which one they would do.
I think like, the Game Boy Advance is number 3, so that would be the next one that they would do, because so far they've gone in order. It was like they did the Super Mario Kart, and now it's Super 64. So then I think the next one would be Game Boy Advance, I think.
Yeah, it's number 3.
Gotcha. Richard Romero in the chat says they split the people with DLC maps and who don't. So I guess there's going to be enough people playing online that, like, I'm sure plenty of people will have the DLC and plenty won't. So I don't think it's really going to affect, the people that you really play with that much. But I guess that kind of makes sense.
Especially with
Also,
being
to keep in mind, I was going to say, like with Smash Brothers coming out, the sales of the Wii U will probably go up a little bit, and then more people get Mario Kart 8, and therefore more people buy the DLC pack as well too.
Right.
And I can
with
see
a game like Mario Kart, I mean, there's a lot of people playing online with that. I mean, it'd be different if it was a game that no one really heard of, but you're going to have tons of people really to pull from that are going to be playing Mario Kart online, and same thing with Smash Brothers as well. So I think they probably have enough in both pools that have bought DLC and that haven't.
Another thing they might do is how they do their Player's Choice games. You know, sometime next year they could have Mario Kart 8 re-released as a Player's Choice and have the DLC built in already. So you get $20 and you actually get it all. And this way, newer players will be able to play with everybody else.
That's true. I mean, a lot of people a lot of other companies do that all the time. Like the PS3 or always, and I'm sure the PS4 will eventually do it, like Game of the Year edition or the special editions that are remastered that have all the DLC packs already, included and everything. That would be a wise idea, I think, too.
Yep, especially for late adopters like myself, with other systems. Game of the Year, that's like all I'm buying now. So very useful for people that don't have, that get the systems later on and everything. Yeah. In the chat room, Serenian Shadow said that for DLC for Mario Kart 8, characters like Captain Falcon, Mach Rider, and Excitebike, or they mentioned Rob, Diddy Kong, Bowser Jr. There's a couple possibilities there. And one of the guests in the TalkShoe chat says, would have liked to see more new characters like Link in Mario Kart instead of the costume characters like Cat Peach and Tanuki Mario. Although with the amount of courses added, it's a great value. So. Yeah,
I can imagine, the cat costume, but it just it doesn't seem like Tanuki Mario really changes a whole lot. I guess, because it's a good thing they didn't do Raccoon Mario, I guess, because all he'd have is just a couple of ears on his head, and then I'd be like, wow, because you can't see the tail. But I guess Tanuki Mario is a little different. But yeah, it does seem odd that they chose to go with costumes instead of additional characters like that.
Right. All right. I think that kind of brings us on to our final little topic here, but for Mario Kart 8, if you guys have Mario Kart 8, check it out and download I guess you'll have to update the game if you haven't already, and you'll download, there's the free Mercedes DLC, and there's the DLC packs that you can now pre-order. Eventually you'll be able to use Link and drive in a Mercedes through Mute City from F-Zero. That's now going to be possible, so pretty crazy, so definitely check that out. For $11.99 to pre-order, fantastic value. So definitely check that out. So our last little topic then for today is from a recent Japanese Nintendo Direct. They have announced a new 3DS revision, basically, and they're calling it, very simply, the new Nintendo 3DS and new Nintendo 3DS LL in Japan, or new Nintendo 3DS XL, here in the US and everything. So I will kind of do the little screen share fun stuff now and kind of give some people some images of what this looks like. This is coming in October in Japan, and it's coming here in the US and Europe and stuff next year. So it's going to be a while for us, but there's a bunch of things that are new with it. So I'm going to kind of look at the images first, because that'll kind of give you a better idea of it. So it looks very similar to the 3DS, except there's a little, above the buttons, there's a small little nub there, which is the C-stick, so it's kind of like a second analog stick there now for alternate control methods in games. The A, B, X, Y buttons are colored just like the Super Nintendo for the new 3DS. For the new 3DS XL, the letters on the buttons themselves are colored, but not the buttons themselves. It does have a faster processor and everything, so faster downloading games, and the web browser's faster and everything. The 3D screen is improved. So before with the 3DS, you tilt it left and right, and it's not 3D anymore because it would get all blurry. But now they've improved it to have the camera tracks your eyes and stuff, and it is able to maintain the 3D and everything. They kind of moved around some of the buttons and everything. They added a ZL and ZR button on the back, and they rearranged some of the other buttons. Comes with the new cradle, so the 3DS holds upright now. The bottom of it, the 3DS cartridge slot is now at the bottom of the 3DS there, as well as the power button and the stylus go down there. Let's see, the 3DS, the new 3DS, not the new 3DS XL, only the regular 3DS, will have faceplates that you can get and customize. So there's a couple of faceplates here, so you can check those out as well.
I was under the impression that it was both.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that both.
It's just the new 3DS. I looked at it and saw, because the actual connectors and stuff for the faceplates are only on the new 3DS.
Yeah, it is interesting because during some of the videos and images, it definitely looked like an XL, but then the actual images of the faceplates did only say 3DS. So it was interesting if they chose to only go to the original, like the basic size.
Yeah, because you'll also see if you, it's at the top. If you look at the image of the two 3DSs, the space where the camera slots are is separated by the actual faceplate area, whereas on the XL and LL, it's one full thing there. So there's no the faceplates, unfortunately. Because I want the 3DS XL, and I want the faceplate, so I'm like, no. So unfortunately, it's only
the solution to that, right? The solution to that is buy both.
Yeah, well, I kind of am doing that solution, which I'll talk about later. Another thing is the sizes are slightly different on them, but one thing to note, the new 3DS screen size is slightly larger than from the regular 3DS. Just the screen itself is slightly larger. So you can kind of look through. There's a lot of images on NintendoFuse.com. It also has the NFC stuff built in. So the regular 3DS had to have the NFC attachment they announced will be coming next year, but this has that built in. And if I go back up, let's see if I missed anything else important. Slightly better battery life. Oh, auto brightness. That's one thing. And there's a parental filter on internet browser.
Yeah. At least in the Japanese one, you have to pay. I think it's like 30 cents. Basically, you just have to authorize a credit card to turn it off to prove you're an adult. But overall speed seems like to be the biggest thing as well. Like in addition to the extra buttons and the 3D, speed seems like the bigger thing. And like we don't know any details, I think, on the CPU yet, but it's pretty well understood that the CPU has got some sort of boost. I don't know if they're just turning up the power of the existing CPU, if they're actually put a different CPU in there. But also download speeds are incredibly faster, they've said.
Right. And along the lines of the CPU, because of it, it's kind of like the DSi situation, where there's going to be some software that is exclusive to the new 3DS and new 3DS XL, one of which is Xenoblade Chronicles is coming to new 3DS. So I don't know how much exactly, but my guess would be it's just not like just a couple games. I think they also said that like some games, depending on like if you play them on new 3DS, you can get some enhanced things like the added control methods and stuff, kind of like how they had the DSi enhanced games from before. So
yeah, we saw how well that went.
Right, there were like how many? Like 2.
I know of 2.
Yeah, to me it's just like
specific 3 DSi games. I think there were also 2. I think.
Right.
I only know of one off the top of my head, but I feel like there was a second one.
Right. So what do you guys think about this new system? It's been very some people love it, some people hate it. It's kind of gotten a whole range of comments about it.
I'll go first. I think it's exciting, but why? And I know a lot of people are like, what? That's ridiculous. I mean, we have a poll up on our site right now, and we've had like over 30, 40 people, I think, vote right now in the poll, and overwhelmingly, people are saying, yes, I want this so bad, take my money now. But at the same time, I think while there's a lot of upgrades, I kind of wish I saw a lot of these things on the first 3DS, but I know technology needed to catch up with some of the things, like the better 3D viewing and stuff like that. The C stick is exciting, but it's a nub. I don't understand why they didn't just stick an actual like real analog stick in there. Different things like that that I think will probably be really fleshed out in whatever their next handheld is, kind of like the DSi, like where the 3DS fleshed out a lot of that stuff that was on the DSi. I think this is kind of like that intermittent upgrade, and I don't know if it's really going to do what they think it will. I think it's going to confuse a lot of people, especially with this whole naming convention. I mean, they ran into that a lot with the Wii and now the Wii U, and then now they're going to have the 3DS, but the new 3DS, and some games are going to work on the new 3DS, but not work on the old one, and like they keep running into this new thing, and they should have learned from Apple's mistake to not name something just the new iPad, because then you have the new iPad or the new 3DS or whatever it ends up being. It's just like, call it something different. I almost feel like while these are exciting upgrades, I almost feel like they should have held on to them a little longer and released a brand new system next year or the year following or something instead, because I feel like it's going to create some confusion, I guess, for a lot of people. And because the 3DS is so big with little kids, I think it's going to be confusing for parents who don't really know what's going on and stuff. So aside from the fact that I'm excited about it because of all the upgrades, I think it could cause some confusion in the gaming industry itself.
Well, there's no doubt it's going to cause confusion, especially with Nintendo's lack of ability to name things correctly, since everything they name now just seems to confuse people. But it's something I expected, because if you've looked at their handheld history, the Game Boy Color was the only one that didn't receive something like this. You had the original Game Boy, and then you had the Game Boy Pocket and the Game Boy Light, both released towards the end of its cycle before the Game Boy Color came out. You had the Game Boy Advance SP and the Game Boy Micro, which both came out at the end of the Game Boy Advance life cycle. You had the DSi and the DSi XL, which both came out at the end of the DS cycle. And now we're having the new 3DS at the end of the 3DS cycle. And when I say end, it's still a couple years, but it's the second half of the life cycle. And it's something I expected. I would have preferred them put a circle pad in the second slot instead of a little nub. I hope that if you play games like Kid Icarus and Resident Evil Revelations, it actually will allow you to do the circle pad pro stuff, Monster Hunter 3 as well, with that little analog nub, because there's so few games that use the circle pad pro to begin with. Honestly, I've seen so many people go, "Oh, I just bought a 3DS. I feel so slighted. Nintendo, you gypped me." And I've seen other people who say, "Oh, I've had this system for a year, and oh my God, I got to upgrade again. What the hell?" And all I could say to them is, look, the 3DS has been out for 4 years now, or over 4 years, and look at the content. Hell, last year people were complaining that there were too many good games and not enough time to play them. So you have an amazing backlog. It's not like you have a brick system. Will you miss out on Xenoblade? Yes. Will you miss out on whatever other ones they put only on the new? Yes. How many new games will there be only for the new? Probably 5, 6 maybe, because I think a lot of developers will try to hit the larger audience of 40, 50, 60 million install base versus the 1, 2 million install base, especially at the beginning. So I kind of look at it like the N64 with the expansion pack. There were games out there that required it, like Donkey Kong 64, and other ones that were enhanced with it, like Perfect Dark. So I think it's, many games will be enhanced if played on the new 3DS, but you'll be able to play them just fine on the regular. So I think a lot of people are making a mountain out of a molehill on it, personally.
Yeah, I think if they do the enhanced stuff, I think that's a lot smarter idea. And I think with the way technology and programming has come along, with other devices that are like that, especially with phones and tablets and stuff like that, you are getting newer versions and everything, and that's usually how it goes. Like, while your iPad 1 can't play everything that your iPad 4 or whatever can, but some of those things are, you get extra features if you have that new one, because the software is enhanced. And I think that's the smarter way to go, instead of doing games that are only for that, because you are almost limiting yourself. Yeah, but I think at the same time, like your point, I mean, the people that are kind of upset, they just got a 3DS, and you're like, oh man, and now I have to. Well, you waited 4 years anyhow, like on the system. Like you've got a lot of time to catch up. You know, like, it's not like you have nothing to play, like you said.
Exactly. And you know what? You mentioned Apple. Here's a company that releases a new iPhone, a new iPad, and every single year, and people line up. And you're talking the 3DS, which is a $160, $170 item, versus an iPad, which is $600, $700, $800, or an iPhone, which is $600, $700, $800, and people upgrade every single year without a second thought. So I really wouldn't put that much stock into. People are just bitching to bitch because that's society today. They just like to complain for the sake of complaining.
Right.
I guess I do feel like a little bit slighted by it. I paid extra money for the XL after having the original one, and then now I'm tempted to want to get the new one because I want to be able to enjoy the enhanced features of the games and be able to make sure I can get all the games there are. So now it creates another thing. I have to get a third 3DS in the terms of the timeline that I've had it, but I don't know. It seems pretty cool, at least to have like Amiibo built-in stuff. Because I'm already been pre-ordering at least like 3 or 4 of those already from the original 12 that they announced.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a lot of people saying a range of things. For me personally, the whole I wanted to comment on the confusion of the naming and stuff. I don't think it'll be that confusing to people as long as there's a couple things that happen. And that is that Nintendo does not continue to sell the old 3DS and 3DS XL, and they only sell the new 3DS and new 3DS XL, as well as the 2DS, of course, because then it's, do you have the new 3DS in stock? And it's just the new 3DS. There's no, are you talking about a new 3DS or a new 3DS? Because that would cause confusion. But if they no longer sell the old models, then I could understand, that whole thing. And plus, and that's also assuming that their next system is not going to have 3DS in the name as well. It's going to be named something different. Because I think part of with Apple, when they did the new iPad, part of the confusion was they had the iPad 2, and then the new iPad, and then it was like iPad 4th generation. You have like completely different stuff, and that made it so confusing. So I think part of it is also as long as they make this the 3DS model going forward once they release it, then I don't think it's really going to cause too much confusion, really, because it says the new 3DS, so to consumers it's kind of like, oh hey, it's a new 3DS, and it's still a 3DS, so it kind of plays 3DS games,
That's true.
I was going to say, that's actually a problem for like Target or Best Buy or whatever, but then you go to GameStop where they sell the used consoles.
Yeah.
So then they'll have an old 3DS XL, and they'll eventually get traded in new 3DS XL. So it's going to be really fun for them to say, like, do you want the old new 3DS XL? Do you want the new
Honestly,
3DS?
Well, the solution to that is just don't go to GameStop.
Hassan, your solution, Hassan's solution is the right one though, because the people who are right now vocal about it are the minority. The majority are the people who will go to Walmart and they don't know, they're not up on speed, and they're just buying whatever. Oh, my kid wants a 3DS. I don't know which one. Just give me a 3DS so the kid is happy. And you know what? They've done this before. I mean, many people don't even realize, like the Game Boy Advance SP had 2 different models, one with a backlight, one with a front light. And all they did was when the new model came, they just shifted out the old, and boom, I need a Game Boy Advance SP. You got what they had in stock, and it was the newer model. So they'll do the same thing. I think that's a smart way to go.
Yeah, I think the difference between this and some of those older, second versions or third versions they did of old consoles, were that this one actually has some extra features that those other ones didn't. So a front light to backlight really isn't that big of a deal, but adding, essentially, 2 more buttons and a second analog stick is quite a bit of a difference between one and the other, and that is able to play other games that couldn't. I know people got a little confused. I think one of the most recent new times they did that was with the DSi. I think people were confused about that, like what's going on, why is this different? Can this play anything different? And I think that's possibly one of the reasons why we didn't get as many DSi-specific games, because people kind of thought, well, I already have a DS, why do I need this? I wonder if people are going to think the same thing. They're going to look at it and say, well, it's basically what I have already. I don't know how well it's going to sell. I think the Nintendo, fans are going to go after it like crazy. But the other people, unless they replace it in the stores, like you said, and just sell the new one, I don't know how many people would go out and just want to replace what they already have.
I agree, especially if it's more expensive. You can get a 3DS for $139, XL for $159, and this is now $189 or something. Then they're probably gonna go with the cheaper one. But what you said, you're right in a lot of ways, except for the DSi. The DSi did have unique features that the DS and the DS Lite did not have, and there were actually some games that were DSi exclusive, and there were also games that were DS and DS Lite exclusive that used the GBA port that was taken away on the DSi. So I mean, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. But technology is going to move forward. So either stay with the old stuff or move on, and that's what they're doing. At least they're not saying, well, you know what, we're discontinuing. I mean, they could have said, this is a brand new console, 3DS stuff is stopped, you must now buy this, which would be the worst thing they could have done.
That's true.
Well, that day will come at some point, and I think what you guys have been missing is the DSi actually has the unique ability of the eShop, or the DSi channel, or whatever it was called. So every game that was on the DSi shop was exclusive to the DSi, like the Mario Kart app and all that other stuff that they developed, along with the other third-party stuff that was developing paid-for apps.
It's true, but I think I haven't looked at numbers or anything like that. This is just my assumption that I don't think the DSi sold that well because it was just like this halfway new console, and I think games on the DSi shop didn't sell as well because people didn't have that new console. I think the DSiWare has probably sold better since the 3DS has come out because people can get it on there. I think a lot of people thought, I can basically play the same games. Yeah, it's got a camera. And so I don't think the DSi sold very well, and in turn, I don't think DSiWare sold very, very well because of that, which is kind of an unfortunate thing for all those DSi publishers. But I think that was one of the big additions, I think, for the DSi, in my opinion, as well.
Right.
Well, I guess only time will tell.
Yeah.
So I want to also pull up people in the chat here. And let's see, Serenian Shadow says saving up for another 3DS. Richard Romero says, as long as they don't release major titles that we all want on only the new 3DS, I'm good. Let's see. Josh Brosh says, I'm going to wait for it because I have perfectly good 3DS XL maybe next year. And GI5Mar75 says, I agree with what Richard said about as long as they don't release the major titles and stuff. Right.
Well, we already know like that they've said Smash Brothers, I think, is going to have an enhanced control. So you're going to be able to use that C-stick for quick smashes like you could on the GameCube controller, things like that. So I think if that's how they do it, I think it's going to be good, and I think people that really want it are going to go after it and replace it and whatever. One thing that I will say, of all the additions, I like a lot of the stuff. We could probably jump into the things that we really like about the new features in the new one. But one thing that I'm kind of shocked a little bit is that they chose to go with micro SD and not micro SD XC or whatever is the faster one. So I'm not going to be able to just pop my SD card, my 32 gig SD card that I got from my 3DS XL right in my new 3DS. I'm going to have to get another SD card and upgrade it and everything. I mean, it's not that big of a deal because I know a lot of people are, used to that with new devices and everything. But it has been nice for the previous ones to just pop it out of one into the next. That they chose to go with, the micro instead, and it's like hidden behind the back plate now. That's
you have to unscrew it to get to the micro now. But the thing about the capacity also, I think they're only officially stating something, but I know with SD cards they said officially it goes up to 32 or 64 gigabytes, but people were able to use SD cards larger than that as long as they formatted it properly or something. There's a way to format it, and then 3DS would actually recognize it. So I think maybe the micro SD XC or whatever cards, we might actually be able to use them. It's just we would have to test it out and see, but maybe if you format it properly, then it might work. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go buy a micro SD card to be able to swap that out, which not a big deal, but it's just another thing to pick up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing. Because I just got the 32 card not too long ago for the regular 3DS, and now it's like, oh, now I can't even use that card. I'm gonna have to get a 32 gigabyte micro card.
Right.
That's true. But other than that, what's some of those features that you guys really are excited about in this new thing? I know it's like that 3D angle is going to be awesome because I don't play with the 3D as much in some games because they're games that I'll move around. Like Mario Kart 7, 3D looks great, but I move around too much when I'm racing, and it goes in and out of 3D and just messes with my head. So most of the time I've got it off. So that better 3D angle is something I'm really excited about.
For me, it's how they're going to implement the extra buttons and see what games they can bring for better controls. Because, I wasn't a fan of Kid Icarus Uprising's controls, and I know some people were. And I feel like that game would have benefited from a few more buttons. And I'm interested to see what they do with that.
I guess I'm most excited for the slider enhancements, like the faster CPU and the downloads faster. I mean, I always feel like it takes forever for games to download on the 3DS. It just seems like if you don't do the download later and actually do the download now, I feel like you really sit there for a while watching all those little bubbles just fall. I mean, I don't know if that's my internet connection or what, but there's times where I just decide to watch it and I'm like, this is really taking a long time. So even just something as simple as just making it faster would be even a plus for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo what Greg said. I think since I'm old digital, so I download games all the time. So anything to increase the speed of that, I'm definitely looking forward to. As well as what Barry and Steve said with the new control and the 3D and everything, should be pretty interesting. I do like what they're doing, at least with the new 3DS and the faceplates. Some of those faceplates look awesome, but especially now that we have the custom home menu themes, which, by the way, is also coming to the regular 3DS in October. So everybody will be able to get those. But I like that, being able to customize the themes.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. And
That'd be cool. I mean, I guess it depends on the price point for this new 3DS versus the new XL. I mean, I might opt for the regular one if I get really cool faceplates. I mean, I might actually go back to the regular one if providing it's still a really cool set of faceplates with it.
Yeah, I think colored buttons look nice too.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that they're doing that. I think every time that Nintendo has kind of lost momentum in terms of sales, they release new colors of things. Kind of with their home consoles, but especially their handheld consoles. And this time it's like, okay, we're not just going to release a few more colors. We're going to let you pick and completely customize your 3DS to exactly however you want it to be. And I think that's a really smart move. I think they're gonna see that. Really big sales boost in Japan, because I think that's customizing your stuff in Japan. I think is even bigger than America, but I think it's pretty big in America as well. So I think that's a really smart move. I don't think it's something that I am excited enough to get the smaller one instead, just because I think once you go XL, it's hard to go back. That screen is beautiful as it's bigger. So I kind of like the sleekness. I think I'd be okay with getting the new XL instead. But it is very tempting, I think, for a lot of people that really want to customize.
Yeah, it's like the Game Boy Micro, the forgotten faceplates and everything. With that was great. I love to be able to do that kind of stuff. So we finally kind of going back to that. So.
Well, Steve, when I look at the screen sizes, it looks like the current regular one is 3.0 and it goes to 3.33, where the XL is only 3.5. So I mean that's not that much. That's like what 0.1 7 smaller than the current XL. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be would be a huge noticeable difference, I would think. But.
Yeah, that's true. The new 3DS does have those bigger screens, so yeah, I guess they're close. It's not as much of a difference now between the two.
For me, I was an early adapter with the original 3DS, and I loved it, but playing games like Tales of the Abyss, my hands got really cramped up. So when I finally got an XL, it was just like a godsend. Not just the screen, but because it was bigger and I could hold it in my hands and get as cramped, and I could play for longer sessions. And when I go back to my little 3DS, I was like, how did I ever play this on this tiny little screen? Like, I play like epic RPGs on this tiny little nothing. So I don't know if I could go back, one, for the screen, like Steve said, but two, also because it got to the point that I was using the 3DS with the Circle Pad Pro, not to use the Circle Pad Pro, just because it was bigger and it was a little bit more comfortable to hold.
Yeah, I do agree that the comfort level on the XL is a lot better. You know, for small hands, it doesn't matter. But I think for the average adult male, from my point of view, I think the XL feels really, really nice.
That's true. I did forget about the hand cramping on the original one playing Ocarina of Time.
Right. So then I guess the question to ask is, are you guys planning to get the new 3DS, and if so, which one, the regular or XL? Because this is looking like, so this is going to be a 2015 thing. My guess is they typically do this kind of stuff around like March-ish, right? So that's kind of my prediction, that it might come out in like March or something. And also, if so, what color? If we get the same colors that Japan got for the new 3DS and XL, what colors would you guys get as well?
I will replace this one with the new XL. I'll just say I really like my black one. I waited on getting an XL until they released the black one. I will plan on getting a new black XL. If they allow me to switch everything up, then I'll just, you know, I'll probably trade this one in, because I don't know if I'll need this one anymore, because I still do have my original 3DS that my wife uses right now on occasion. But I do plan on getting another one, the new one, and I would probably get the XL, and I would probably get black if they allow it, because I like the sleekness of just the plain black. You know, not too fancy. 'Cause I'm more of a, you know, not a fancy guy. So.
What about you guys, Barry, Greg?
For me, I'm probably going to go with the XL for the reasons I just stated. As for color, I have no idea, because I've got the Zelda XL, and it's going to be really hard to lose that one and not play with that one anymore. Still be there, but it'll be definitely different. But you know, we've got, my wife and I both have launch consoles. We both have XLs. I don't know if she's going to upgrade. Probably not anytime soon, but I'll probably upgrade myself as an early adapter, and then when a special edition comes, I'll probably grab that one and give her the whatever one I pick. So if there's a Smash Brothers or something special edition, you know, I'll grab that down the road. But I would go with XL. As nice as the faceplates are, I prefer not having my hand cramped.
Yeah, with all the things considered about the hand cramping, which I totally forgot, I would probably also go with XL. Then, seeing as I got the original blue and I got XL blue, I will probably go with blue.
I'm in the same boat as Greg. I went blue all the way for the original and XL, and I like the metallic blue. It looks pretty nice on the new 3DS XL. Although, I love the faceplates and everything on the new 3DS so much, I actually decided that rather than, I was going to buy Disney Infinity 2.0 and some stuff, so instead of investing in all that, I'm actually going to import a console for the first time, and I ordered from PlayAsia the new 3DS in white, and I want to do a lot of videos and stuff and cover that for NintendoFuse and everything as well. So when that comes in October or so, expect some videos and everything from me on that. So looking forward to kind of playing around with that, and I'll try and also, because I think you can use a U.S. credit card on the eShop, is what I was told. So I'm going to try and like download Smash Brothers and try out the amiibos with it and everything. So that'll be another thing to kind of play around with, since otherwise we'll have to wait until next year to use the amiibos on Smash Brothers for 3DS. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm cheating. I'm getting both.
That's exciting. Yeah, I'm wondering actually. It just makes me think. With a lot of this stuff, I wonder if Super Smash Brothers, for instance, for 3DS, is going to have enhanced features, since it will for the new 3DS. I wonder if you use the Circle Pad Pro, if you're going to have those enhanced features as well. If you're going to be able to use that second Circle Pad from the Circle Pad Pro, because I have one and I don't use it for anything right now. But it'd be cool if you could actually use it.
I don't see why they wouldn't Circle Pad Pro enabled games. They should use it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if these ones that are new 3DS enhanced or whatever, if some of those controls will naturally just transfer over to a Circle Pad Pro as well. I mean, really, if you use the Circle Pad Pro, you're only really losing one button that the new 3DS would not have, and that'd be the ZL button, I think. Yeah, because it's got a ZR.
ZL.
So, yeah.
I thought there was both the ZL and ZR being added on the new one.
On the new one, yeah, but I don't think on the Circle Pad Pro does it have both. If it does, then
I feel like it doesn't have it, but you can access the one on the 3DS itself or something. Like, it was kind of weird like that. So I think you can use both, but you use one of the buttons on the 3DS itself or something.
Yeah, I never got the Circle Pad.
Yeah, at least that's for the regular 3DS. I don't know how the XL one is, but the
Hold on, I'll check.
I don't see why. I hope they should let you use the Circle Pad Pro for those kinds of games. I mean, I'm sure some of the new 3DS enhanced stuff will be things like the enhanced processor and stuff like that, which that obviously but at least in terms of control schemes, I don't see why not.
Right.
And actually, I was thinking, what if they let us use the new 3DS as a controller for the Wii U game? Because you would now have
the exact same
buttons.
Every button and the screen. So.
Yeah.
All right, I got your answer, Steve. This is the Circle Pad Pro for the XL. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you can see on the side here, there's two R buttons. And for the left, there is an LZ button, and you would use the L button on
the original.
Right.
The original. So it's the exact same button. Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that's that. That is the control schemes of that. So it'll be very interesting to see. So surprisingly, no specific date in October announced yet. Yet October is a month away. So I'm expecting more details on the new 3DS Japanese release soon. And then probably not until later this year, early next year, we'll get our announcement for the US and Europe and everything as well. So that is that. Any other last thoughts on the new 3DS or new 3DS XL?
I was just kind of surprised that they're not hitting the holiday season here in America and Canada. It seems kind of like a lost cause to have it launched in February, March, summer, whatever they're planning to do. It just seems like it would set it up to fail a lot more to have it so much farther in advance.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with Smash Brothers and stuff coming out, it seems like it'd be a no-brainer to bundle that together and sell a lot of consoles. I'm wondering if they just need to get rid of their back, all their current 3DS stock or something maybe, or they're just testing it out in Japan before they choose to actually launch it in other regions and win and everything. I don't know. I mean, they've done this on occasion. I mean, the original DS Lite was launched in Japan way before it ever launched the rest of the world, and I think that was kind of a test market sort of thing. And so, maybe that's what they're doing here. But yeah, I do agree. I think they kind of missed the boat on launching it for a holiday, because it seems like it'd be the hot device to get right alongside Smash Brothers 3DS.
Right. The only thing I wonder is because Japan doesn't have as much of a big holiday season as we do here, but for us, people are going to buy a 3DS regardless for the holidays, especially with Smash Brothers, and I think they probably have special Smash Brothers edition 3DSs and stuff. So maybe Nintendo saw it as like they're going to sell 3DSs as is, so then maybe they'll get an extra boost of sales next year if they release a new model or something. That's the only thing I can really think of, maybe.
Squeeze as much money out of us as we can.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
It
I mean,
only prints
especially these
money.
people that get the amiibos, and they're gonna be like, "Well, this is cool, but I have to plug in something to my 3DS," and they're like, "Well, no, you don't have to." So.
Right.
Yeah.
Looks like we do have somebody on the call on TalkShoe, so let's get them on the call and see what they have to say. Hello, you are on the call. What's your name?
My name's Eddie.
Hey, so what are your thoughts on the new 3DS?
I kind of have like mixed feelings about it because I'm wondering, for one, if it's even going to be like backwards compatible with the original 3DS, and if I'm going to like when the new 3DS launches, like I'm wondering if like the game comes out, like it's going to be for 3DS or near 3DS. You know, just like the whole process, it seems like it's going to confuse a lot of shoppers, like this is the name, because like you have the 3DS, and you got the 3DS Pro, you get the 2DS, and then you got like the newer 3DS. I mean, the new, this is like another thing, was like, okay, Xenoblade Chronicles was coming out to 3DS, and like everybody was really excited about it. But when Xenoblade Chronicles came out for Wii, pretty much nobody really bought it. Well, for one, because it was GameStop exclusive, and two, now Xenoblade Chronicles for Wii is going up like extremely high on eBay and Amazon for like ridiculous amounts. So I'm wondering if people are even gonna like go out day one and buy it because they've been waiting so long to play it, or sit back and not buy it and then complain that they didn't buy it and then watch as like the price goes up. But as far as like the design, I didn't really have like any problem with it. Like when they showed off like the second analog, like it wasn't really like an analog, but it still kind of acted like one, which I guess was kind of nice, especially if you're playing like role-playing games, if you have to like rotate the camera or whatever. As far as like this year for games, like in Nintendo in general, I thought it was an okay year, but I feel like, and I'm not like bashing Nintendo because like Nintendo's like one of my favorite companies, but I feel like they need to kind of, not just like Nintendo franchises like Mario and Zelda and everything, but like third-party franchises. Like they really need to see if they can like address new IP for exclusives. Cause like, well, I mean, like, one of the main reasons like why I personally bought my Wii U was to play Wonderful 101, which I still consider one of the best games on Wii U. And I know that it was kind of like a hit and miss this year for 3DS. Like I know that Bravely Default came out and it did really well, that they're already working on the sequel. And I know that it's supposed to be transferring over Final Fantasy Explorers in English, but they didn't like give a release date. And then I know that like we got Bayonetta 2, but there's like so much stuff that was announced at Easter that's like not even coming out till next year, which I mean it isn't really bad, but it's like, you know, the holiday season, like you're still gonna like jump in on exclusives. So I mean, there's still stuff to play. I mean, like there's still like Mario Kart 8 and Smash Bros. Is really good, but like I kind of feel like as far as exclusives go, like last year was kind of better. Like it seems like with each year, like we're getting like less and less exclusives, and I kind of feel like it's hurting Nintendo like a little bit. I mean, not a lot, but like whenever Devil's Third was announced, like I thought that it was coming out in the fall, but it's not coming out. So psychological effect complaining that, like, oh, well, you know, Bayonetta 2 is coming out, but, like, because Bayonetta 1, I feel like the outside notes that comes and then they included it, which is another game that I'm thinking about pre-ordering, but I don't know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I can understand, where you're coming from with that. The one thing I will say about the new 3DS, so it will be backwards compatible with the 3DS games and everything. It's essentially just an updated version of the 3DS, so you will still be able to play all your 3DS games on it. They may have a couple, exclusives and everything for it, like Xenoblade and everything, but I don't think they're going to have too many of those exclusives because they'll want to have at least most people be able to buy the games, so I don't think they're going to have too many things exclusive to just the new 3DS, but that is something to keep in mind there. But yeah, I think it seems lately they're focusing a lot more on like the big titles like Smash Brothers and more on the smaller games and the third parties and everything as well, for sure.
I heard that they're supposed to release another Dragon Quest game over in America for 3DS, but there's been like issues with it. Honestly, but, and I know that in October we're getting Fantasy Launch for 3DS. It's kind of like instead of like Final Fantasy on like the phone, but you get like regular on character and like run around and stuff. And that's pretty cool. Honestly, didn't really buy that much for 3DS this year. I bought Mario Luigi Dream Team, which came out last year, which is probably my favorite game in the Mario Luigi series, and that's from someone who absolutely loves stuff like on the Game Boy Advance. I'm not a Zelda fan, but I'm actually kind of intrigued by Hyrule Warriors, just how like the approach that they're dealing with it. I also picked up the Ninja Turtle movie game for 3DS, which was actually really fun. It plays like a hack and slash dungeon crawler. And you actually get to like go on missions and like level up all your like characters, and it actually has like a crafting weapon system. Like you can pick up like blueprints to make weapons, and then find like materials, like structural and stuff. So that was pretty fun. I haven't had a chance to play Mario Kart 8 on the Xbox Podcast, but other than that, like I haven't really like bought anything for Wii U. I mean, like the only thing I got for is one to 4-on-1. I do plan on getting Zombie U in October, because I'm actually going to play in October with like nothing but horror games. So Halloween come up, and I'm also gonna pick a Bayonetta 2 because I absolutely love Bayonetta 1. Not really sure about Pokemon, the Ruby and Sapphire remake. Because I still kind of want to get X and Y and all those, but as far as Nintendo games go, I finally beat Breath of Fire on my Super Nintendo, and I'm just now finishing up Super Mario 64, so I can actually play it, and I'm really enjoying that one.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Definitely keep us posted, and maybe the next episode, by that time, Hyrule Warriors and everything, I believe, will be out by then, so we can definitely call in next time, and we can talk about that game as well, for sure. And we'll keep you posted on when the new 3DS comes out. I'll post some videos on our site about that to kind of give you an idea of what that's all about to maybe help your decision. But yeah, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, too. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. Cool. So yeah, so lots of stuff, on the way and everything, and today, I mean, we only covered a couple of the big news topics today, with the Smash Brothers leak and Mario Kart 8 DLC, new 3DS announcement, but there's so much more, Pokken tournaments and all sorts of other stuff that we just couldn't really, even get to. So lots of stuff on the way. And
lots of reviews.
Yeah,
I mean,
any last minute thoughts from
we're
any of you?
we're basically posting a lot of reviews over the next few days. I know both Greg has a lot of them coming up. Jeremy's going to be posting a lot of reviews too, and I've got some different product reviews coming up. So this headset, been using it the last couple weeks, and so we're going to be posting that on the site, as well as different some DLC stuff. Like we got some new Zen Pinball 2. DLC. So we got access to that. So we'll be posting a lot of reviews coming up soon. So make sure you stay tuned to NintendoFuse for that.
Cool. Yeah, lots of stuff on the way for sure. So that pretty much wraps up the episode and everything. So thank you all so much for joining us today, and thank you to the caller who called in. Just a little note: September 29th of this year, or this month, I guess, coming up, is our 5-year anniversary of the podcast. So it's pretty crazy. We'll be doing it for 5 years. So for the next episode, maybe I'll have some giveaways or something special for you all just as a thank you. So definitely stay tuned. Next episode, I'm thinking early October, probably after Smash Brothers comes out. So maybe like that week afterwards or something. So we'll figure out the schedules and everything. But definitely stay tuned. Lots to talk about, and I'm excited about it. So thank you all so much for joining in. And we will see you guys later.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Bye.